and appeared to comprise vessels of significant tonnage based on the strength of returns. The formation was advancing at 12 to 14 kmh on a bearing of 178 degrees directly towards Bologna. Lieutenant Helmut Murr, the watch officer, immediately telephoned through to Heer's Grouper B headquarters. The plot thickened at 3:00 a.m. when a second formation equally large appeared on screens further east heading towards Cap d'Antifer itself. This was Operation Taxable, the southern component flown by 617 Squadron's counterparts in 218 Squadron. Both Phantom fleets advanced with mechanical precision for the next 3 hours. The German response demonstrated that the deception was working perfectly, perhaps too perfectly. Admiral Theodor Krank, commanding Naval Group West, ordered 6 U-boats from Bologna to intercept the northern formation, and 5 more from La Haye to engage the southern one. These high-speed attack craft, each armed with 253 cm torpedoes, raced out into the channel at 38 knots, fully expecting to encounter the vanguard of an invasion fleet. Covet and Captain Heinrich Hoffmann, commanding the Ballon Flotilla, later stated in his interrogation report, "We proceeded at full speed to contact position. Radar returns showed multiple large contacts. We arrived at calculated intercept coordinates at 450. There was nothing there. Absolutely nothing. No ships, no debris, only empty water and some wireless interference. The U-boats circled the area for 40 minutes, their own radar sets showing strong returns that seemed to be all around them, yet their lookout saw only darkness and waves. Hoffmann ordered his boats to proceed further north. Assuming the invasion fleet had been faster than estimated, they found nothing. Meanwhile, the actual invasion fleet was landing at Normandy. The Kriegsmarine records show that 12 U-boats and 4 U-boat U-218, U-621, U-953, and U-984 spent the critical hours between 300 and 037:00 on the 6th of June chasing radar ghosts towards Pala, whilst the real armada approached Gold, Juno, Sword, Utah, and Omaha, beaches 250 km to the southwest. What made this particularly devastating was that German commanders couldn't simply dismiss the particle contacts as false. The radar signatures were perfect, too perfect to be accidental interference. The formations maintained coherent movement, proper speeds, and appropriate density. At 5:30, when the U-boat reported finding nothing, German naval intelligence concluded that the fleet had been real, but had turned back, possibly a feint or a cancelled operation. This interpretation was exactly what British planners had hoped for. Hitler himself briefed at 6:30 about both the Normandy landings, and the Padala radar contacts concluded that Normandy was the diversion and Padala the real invasion. He refused to release panzer reserves from the 15th Army area until 14th June, 8 days after D-Day, by which time 326,000 Allied troops had consolidated the beachhead. The after-action reports reveal the full scale of German confusion. The 15th Army maintained full alert status throughout 6th of June and 7th June, keeping 19 divisions in position to repel an invasion at Pas-de-Calais that never came. General Ober Hans von Salmuth, commanding the 15th Army, wrote on 7th June, "The radar contacts of 6th June remain unexplained. All evidence suggests a major fleet operation occurred, yet no physical contact was made. Either British countermeasures have reached a sophistication we did not anticipate, or they possess the ability to withdraw entire fleets invisibly." German Naval Headquarters in Paris compiled a report on 10th of June listing 24 separate incidents of U-boat and surface craft detecting large fleet formations on radar that vanished upon investigation. They concluded correctly that the British had developed an effective method of creating false radar targets, but couldn't determine the mechanism, or crucially couldn't determine which radar contacts were real and which were phantom. Operation Glimmer didn't work in isolation. It formed the centerpiece of an interlocking system of deceptions that exploited every German intelligence-gathering capability. Whilst the Lancasters created phantom fleets on radar, 16 small boats from the Royal Navy's coastal forces supplemented the illusion at sea level. These vessels, motor launches and gunboats, sailed parallel to the bomber patterns, towing 9 m-long balloons equipped with radar reflectors. Each balloon reflector assembly, designated the Type 91 naval decoy, produced a radar signature equivalent to a 3,000-ton vessel. The boats maintained wireless silence, but occasionally transmitted brief, encoded messages using the call signs of actual landing ship tank LSD vessels known to German signals intelligence. The boats also fired star shells and deployed smoke floats, creating visual evidence of a fleet that sailors on Ebot could glimpse briefly through darkness and haze, without getting close enough to realize they were seeing balloons and flares rather than destroyers and landing craft. The deception extended into the electromagnetic spectrum in ways German intelligence never fully unraveled. RAF Bomber Command flew diversionary raids against Luftwaffe airfields in the Pas-de-Calais region, precisely timed to coincide with the Phantom Fleet approach, suggesting the fleet had brought its own air cover. Simultaneously, British signals intelligence units in Kent transmitted hours of fake wireless traffic, mimicking the radio chatter of an invasion fleet. Course changes, formation adjustments, anti-submarine alerts, and weather reports. These transmissions used proper naval codes and call signs taken from genuine intercepts of previous convoy operations. German listening post recorded 38 hours of this traffic between the 5th and 7th of June. Signals intelligence analysts in Paris identified 17 different Allied vessels from their transmission patterns, including 3 destroyers, 12 landing ships, and 2 headquarters vessels. None of these ships were near Pas-de-Calais. Most were either in Portsmouth Harbor or approaching Normandy. What critics of the operation had never understood was that it wasn't enough to fool radar. You had to fool the entire German intelligence operator simultaneously, because each system would check the others. Radar operators who saw massive contacts would look for radio traffic from those ships. Signals intelligence units intercepting radio traffic would check radar for confirmation. Naval observers would look for visual evidence of what radar and signals intelligence reported. Only by coordinating deception across all channels could you create something convincing enough to divert an entire army. The London Controlling Section spent 3 months rehearsing the timing. The window dropping patterns had to coincide precisely with the wireless transmissions, which had to align with the visual displays from the decoy boats, which had to match the timing of the diversionary bombing raids. A single misalignment window dropped, whilst wireless traffic suggested the fleet was still further north, or visual pyrotechnics launched before radar showed contacts would expose the deception. The technical synchronization required innovations that became standard practice in electronic warfare. Each Lancaster carried a wireless receiver tuned to a BBC frequency that transmitted time signals synchronized to Greenwich Mean Time within 0.1 seconds. The window droppers in each aircraft used these signals to coordinate their 4-second release intervals, ensuring that bundles from multiple aircraft hit the water in patterns that created coherent radar returns rather than random clutter. The decoy boats received the same time signals and used them to coordinate their movements with the bomber patterns above. The wireless deception units in Kent worked from minute-by-minute scripts prepared weeks in advance, specifying exactly when to transmit which messages to create the impression of a fleet progressing through a coordinated invasion plan. This wasn't accidental. British intelligence, through ultra-decrypts and interrogations of captured German officers, understood precisely how German decision-making worked. The Wehrmacht placed enormous faith in technology, particularly in radar, because German engineering culture valued quantifiable technical data over human intelligence. A report from a spy or a resistance fighter might be dismissed as unreliable, but radar contacts were treated as objective facts. British planners exploited this cultural bias ruthlessly. They knew that if they could make their deception appear on German radar screens, German commanders would believe it more readily than they'd believe eyewitness reports contradicting the radar data.